All right. Good morning and a very warm welcome to today's webinar. My name is Jennifer Schmidt, and I'm going to be talking about Therefore 2023, our brand new version of Therefore. I cannot see or hear you, so don't worry if you cough or sneeze in the background, no one will notice, but I do want to interact with you. So if you do have a question, please use the Q&A function, which you can see on the meeting controls. If you hover your mouse, you'll be able to type questions in the Q&A box, and I will check the questions at the end of my presentation. It's only me here in the room, so I can't read the questions at the same time that I'm doing the presentation. It's just too much for me, but I will stop and I will read the questions at a good moment in time. So my name is Jennifer Schmidt. Many of you probably already know my face, but yeah, I am a member of the digital engagement team, and I'm involved in creating e-learning content as well as doing webinars and other content for Therefore brochures, website. But my main passion right now is e-learning, which is available on the extranet for anyone who has an extranet account. So Therefore has 2 annual releases, one in the spring, which is the release we're talking about. This is the main release. It's full of features for both Therefore Online and Therefore On-Premise. And then we have a secondary smaller release in the fall, which is only for Therefore Online customers. So what you can expect is you can expect a continuous release schedule. This means that Therefore is updated continuously throughout the year with 2 main launches. This one right here, Therefore Online, with all the new features, and then you can expect to see another secondary release later this year in the fall, which will be only Therefore Online. This main release is going to be for Therefore Online and Therefore On-Premise. So other features that were released previously that were only available for Therefore Online customers are also going to be reaching Therefore On-Premise customers this time around. So all features are for Therefore Online and Therefore On-Premise in this release. For those of you who are using Therefore Online, of course, is our cloud-based version of Therefore, where the server is hosted on Microsoft Azure platform. We will take care of updating the Therefore Online server for you. And these are our planned updates. We already started with India, that was yesterday. We're moving on to Asia, then Australia, the US, Canada, and then those of you in Europe, you can expect to get your system updated on May 2nd, and finally we'll end with Japan on the 22nd of May. But don't take my word for it. If you're interested in getting the most accurate and up-to-date information, you can register for status updates at status.thereforeonline.com, and you'll get emails every time that a server has planned maintenance to it. So that's where to go. I get emails for all of the servers sent to my email mailbox. It's very convenient, or you can just check the website. But anyways, these are the planned updates. And of course, once your server has been updated, you can update your client and then start using the new features. For those of you who have Therefore On-Premise, you will need to update your own server. The software is already available for download, and it's ready. So as soon as you have time, you can go ahead and update your own Therefore system, or update your customer system. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that all of the new features that I'm talking about in the webinar today are also being explained in our e-learning. So you can listen to me via video, talk about how to configure and use the new features in Therefore 2023 on our e-learning, which is available on the extranet for Canon and Canon partners. The website is extranet.therefore.net. And it's completely free. Have a look and let me know what you think. But the videos in the e-learning are designed for those of you who are going to be installing and configuring the new features. So without further ado, let's listen to what the new agenda is going to be. First, I'll talk about the Teams connector for on-premise, smart capture, improved workflow, editing documents in the dynamic web viewer, download services in the content connector, as well as some other enhancements. So this is a very brief overview of the new features that are available in there for 2023. So the first new feature that we have is the Teams integration. This was initially launched for therefore online only in the fall. Now it is available for therefore on-premise as well as therefore online customers. And this is a really neat integration. Basically, it allows users to receive workflow notifications and process workflow tasks directly from the Teams chat. I know that I spend a lot of my time talking to my colleagues on Microsoft Teams, and just being able to get all the notifications in Teams and then process my workflows from the convenience of Teams is really nice. It's very easy to use. And the nice thing about this integration is that it's extremely fast and easy to set up for the system administrator. You just need to click a few buttons, enter your URL, and then you can immediately let the users know that they can download the Teams bot if they want. So you just add the Teams bot, you just click on the 3 dots and add the Teams bot, enter your credentials, and then it starts working. So it's fast and easy to use, and I think a lot of users will really get a lot of benefit out of it. Therefore, Smart Capture. So Smart Capture is our AI-based invoice and financial document recognition service. Basically, you just save a document to a category, and therefore it will then get uploaded via workflow to the Smart Capture engine, where all of the fields are going to be recognized by the AI. And then you can either manually review it if you like, or you can tell the system, hey, if you're confident that the values that you recognized are correct, you're good to go. And we're continuously improving the Smart Capture so that it really can be adapted to fit the needs of your company. It's now possible to create multiple queues in Smart Capture. So a queue refers to the types of documents that can be recognized. So you could have a queue for invoices and delivery notes. And so that means that the invoice queue would have a lot more fields than a delivery notes queue, because of course a delivery note document has a lot less information on it typically than an invoice would, right? And you can create as many different types of queues for different types of documents that you like, depending on the needs of your company. Another thing that you can do is we can now match line item, have like a line item database uploaded. So you can have a line item database in therefore, and then when it comes to validating it in Smart Capture will validate the individual line items from the therefore database to the information that Smart Capture recognized. And finally, you can also generate a consumption report, which is this little GIF that you see here. So you open up the Solution Designer, right-click on Consumption Report, and then Smart Capture will create a graph showing the amount of credits that were consumed during a set time period. And it's really easy. You can also copy and paste that consumption report into another program like Paint, for example. You can also export it as a CSV file to use for further analysis, for example, in Excel. So it's really easy to use, really fun, and it gives great information to system administrators who are using therefore Smart Capture. And of course, don't forget that credits no longer expire. So any credits that you purchase are yours for as long as you need them. And that's been in place since July 1st of last year. Moving on to improved workflow. So we have 2 main enhancements to workflow. The first is that we have greatly improved the REST workflow task. This sounds extremely technical, but it's something that everyone can really benefit from. REST is a communication protocol that's used by many modern applications and web services. It's just a way that allows different services and websites to talk to each other. And using a workflow REST call task, you can either send information from therefore to a third-party service that uses REST, or you can receive information using that REST call, which is super convenient. It allows information exchange to be exchanged very easily. We've increased the function of the REST workflow task so that you can make multiple REST calls from a single workflow task. This makes it much easier, for example, to share declared variables across the workflow tasks, authentication, And basically, for a non-technical way to just say it is, it's much more powerful, and you can achieve integration in a really much more easy way. So if you want to send or receive information from therefore to another web service that uses REST, then it's probably going to be possible with that REST call, which is so great. It's also possible to send an actual document using the REST. So this means, for example, that you can actually send the document like a PDF that was in therefore to a third-party application like an ERP system or a CRM system who accepts documents sent via REST. So really, really cool. Lots of good use cases for companies who want that kind of information exchange. Now we also have another task called copy document. This is a workflow task. And if you use this workflow task, it will copy the document from the original category to the new secondary category, leaving a copy of the document in both categories. You can also specify if there's multiple pages within the original document, you can also specify which pages should be copied and which ones should not. So if you have, 4 pages in the original document, you only want to copy the first 2, you can also specify that using scripting. And we show that exactly how that's done in the new refresher training. So check that out. I think it's going to be really useful. The copy document workflow task has a lot of good use cases. For example, if you're going to send only certain documents with the REST call, for example, to an ERP system, or you want, maybe you're getting information from an eForm and your eForm has several documents and you're going to modify them later, but you want to retain a copy of what was saved from the eForm, then you could use the copy document workflow task so that you can have a copy of both in 2 different categories. So that's another thing, lots of good use cases. This new feature was highly requested, so hopefully a lot of people are going to be getting good use out of it. Moving on, the dynamic web viewer has been greatly enhanced. So the dynamic web viewer is our web-based version of Therefore. You can just type in a URL and then access all of your Therefore workflows and documents from the comfort of a web browser. So you don't need to install anything on your PC. This is a really good option for users who are doing home office and maybe they have to use their own personal PC, but they still want to access documents, and therefore they can do that very easily with the web viewer. So the main new enhancement in 2023 is that you can edit documents right in the browser. Previously, you would have had to download documents from the web viewer and then re-upload them. Now you can just edit them directly in the browser, which you can see here in the GIF. And then afterwards you can click finish and the edited document is then saved. So you get edit file in Office and then you can make whatever changes you want. Really easy to use. Again, easy to configure if you're an administrator. Other enhancements that we introduced in the fall, you can filter and sort search results, print the documents, access eForms, export documents, and you can save changes to the hit list layout across sessions. And moving on to the content connector. So the content connector is a service that can bring content from various sources into Therefore, file and index the documents automatically with no human interaction. The content connector is, I think, the most used and most valuable connector that we have because it can do so much and you really only need one license and it can do so many different things. We've added another service that the content connector can provide, and that is we call it download services. So these download services are third-party services that scrape invoices from third-party websites. So a concrete example is we have connectors out of the box for BLP and SecurityBox. So BLP collects invoices for their customers from the websites that they use. For example, so like they get invoices from Office Depot. So they would get the invoices from the Office Depot website and prepare them with the metadata on that website. Now the content connector can connect to BLP and get that information and then save it to Therefore automatically. We also have a vendor neutral interface that would allow you to create connections to other such providers. In addition, we've also added a pause processing option, and this allows you to pause the processing for any content connector profile. So you can pause the processing for e-signature monitoring, for mailbox monitoring, and of course for download services and for the hot folder monitoring as well. And finally, we're at other changes. So we've added, of course, several other changes to Therefore 2023. First, we can hide components in the PDF rendering of an e-form. So when you fill out an e-form, by default, the entire form is saved as a PDF to Therefore. However, those forms, of course, can sometimes be extremely long and difficult to read because everything is saved, even questions that were unanswered. Now it's possible to hide certain components in the PDF rendering. You can always hide a component, or you can hide it conditionally, meaning you can say, for example, if a question was not answered or a question did not apply, that question can be left blank and will not be shown in the PDF rendering. It's also really useful for privacy reasons or clarity, just to make it easier to read. Push notifications have been added for certain e-signature providers. So this just means that the polling interval is much shorter. Basically, as soon as the signatures have arrived, the content connector is informed, and this means that the signatures are then updated in Therefore as soon as they're available. Added option to export secrets with configurations. So it's possible to export configurations from the Therefore system onto another system. And now it's possible to export secrets, meaning that you can export passwords and usernames for services. So for example, if you're exporting a configuration for e-signatures, where you have e-signature credentials in it, you can choose to export them or not. You can then add a password so that they are password protected. And then when the user imports that configuration, if they have a password, the credentials for the e-signature would also be included. Also, finally, it's also possible to have multiple instances of the solution designer running. This is my personal favorite new feature. It sounds very small, but for administrators, anyone who's involved in configuring Therefore, it's extremely useful. So you can open up the solution designer and configure a new workflow, and then you can open up a second instance and then view the category or a keyword dictionary ID number, for example, while you're working on the workflow. So that's really useful. And that was a very short and hopefully interesting summary of the new features that you can expect to see in Therefore 2023. I did receive one question, which is the copy document applies to the category that belongs in the same case or category outside of the case as well. Category outside of the case. So you basically just say you have to create, you have an original category and then you have a secondary category, and you have to then say, you have to map the index fields from the original category to the secondary category. The configuration is basically identical to the move document workflow task, if you're familiar with that. So it's very easy to configure. The only thing that is different in the copy document is that we've added the option to specify which documents within the category should be, which files within that document should be copied to the secondary documents. Like I was saying, if there's multiple documents within that file, you can choose to only copy certain ones. Is there any update for Teams integration with Therefore? So the Teams integration has been updated to allow Therefore on-premise to use it as well. The functionality is the same as it was for Therefore online. So yes, the update is Teams now works for Therefore Online as well as on-premise. Is it possible to edit PDF documents in the dynamic web viewer? It's only possible to edit like Microsoft Office documents, so not a PDF. All right, I'll just click on I've answered these ones live. And done. Cool. Any more questions or comments? For those of you who have joined, please check out our e-learning if you're a Canon or Canon partner to learn more about the configuration. And if you would like, I invite you to check out the blog as well, where we have a brief summary of all of the new features. And of course, join future webinars with me or with my colleagues, therefore.net/webinars. So I think that's it. Very short and sweet webinar this morning, full of new features for Therefore 2023. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you have a really good day. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out to me, media@therefore.net, or jennifer.schmidt@therefore.net, and I'll be very happy to answer any questions that you have. All right, thank you so much.